Check, check. There we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to F1 Broke Boys Tier 3, and it's time for round 7 of Season 12. And we arrive at Circuit of the Americas for a second consecutive race in the United States. Last week we had a mystery race, which ended up being in Las Vegas. But tonight we're in Austin, Texas for the US Grand Prix, round 7 of 12. So we're past the halfway point of the season. And if we take a look at the standings before we go into this race, we've got Wardy in the lead of the championship, but not by much. He's leads by 6 points over Tolu, 9 points over Parzival, and the two Saubers, they have fallen behind a little bit after a disappointing race last week in Vegas. They're 4th and 5th in the championship. Soul Demon is 14 points behind Wardy, and Jumpy Painter is 21 points behind the Haas driver. They still lead though in the Constructors' Championship, but their gap towards the rest of the field has shrunk massively because Alpine is now only 5 points behind the Swiss team. Haas have moved up ahead of Williams, but they're 23 points behind Kick Sauber. And as we see here on track, Bob, he has returned. Finally, he's back after missing quite a few races this season. But it's very good to see him back out on track. And it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in Tier 3 tonight, driving for McLaren alongside Parzival. Parzival himself, who after the win last week, finds himself now 3rd in the championship. It's looking quite strong so far this season. Let's see if he's going to be able to build from that. Take a look down the grid, we've got Mr. L. He is making his debut tonight in Tier 3 as well. I think he was a former Tier 5 driver this season, but he's been promoted to Tier 3 last week. He unfortunately had to miss the mystery round, but tonight he is certainly here on track, making his debut at Texas. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do as well. Kieran is also back in the Williams. And Leonardo, he has got a full-time seat now at Ferrari alongside that same Mr. L. So qualifying is underway. Bob is going to be the first one to try and set a lap time, and the times we will be looking at is probably in the 31s, at least for banker laps, but I know there are some drivers in this field who can drive mid to high 30s. But you do need to string that lap together, which is quite difficult around here, as Bob has the slightest of moments on the exit of turn 1. A little bit of wheel spin, as it's turn 1 is uphill and then it's back down and swinging through the S's beautifully to mark the end of sector 1. Still a few corners remaining before we calm down a little bit, down to the hairpin of turn 11. Early on throttle, and you will have to use a little bit of ERS down this back stretch, the longest straight on the track. One of two DRS zones, the other one being the start-finish straight. And now into the braking zone of turn 12. You could say that this is the most technical part of the lap, but sector 1 is pretty technical on itself. But it certainly is a technical track in general, but these corners can be quite tricky to navigate your way through. Especially on throttle as well, making sure to hit all the apexes with accelerating uphill, and then this beautiful triple right-hander of turn 16, 17 and 18, and this final penultimate corner is very quick left-hander where you can very easily run wide and invalidate your lap time, but he hasn't done that. He's kept it within the white lines, and his first lap time on the board will be a 1:32.201, so definitely not the quickest lap time we will see tonight, but it's good to have a lap time on the board at least. And he immediately gets beaten by Sapphire by a full second. So 31.2 is quite a decent banker lap as well. Tolu in the Alpine, he's gone second, but he's half a second behind the Visa Cash Up RB of Sapphire, who was in the fight for the win last week. Surprisingly enough, and picked up his first podium of the season. Great job from him. And I do hope we can see him fighting at the front more than once this season. Wonder if I haven't talked about yet is Mahmoud, if he's returned as well. I think he was a tier 4 driver full time for a short period, but he must have dropped the reserve because he is driving tonight in tier 3. The two Saubers have set their banker laps, and they are quite far from the 30s, 31.6 and 31.8, sandwiching the Alpine. I know Mr. Elwell on track. Well, I haven't seen him race, I think. I've done tier 5 once this season, and I don't think he was racing that day. So I'm quite interested to find out how he's like as Kieran. He goes up to the front row with a 31.5. And wonderful to have you in the chat as well, Jamie. Always a pleasure. He unfortunately is not alongside me tonight, but I'm certain he will be again next week. Sapphire at the moment is the man at the front, but there's still 8 drivers remaining. He had to set a lap time. One of them is Twitch Terry, who I think drove in tier 2 yesterday. He's gone up to 6 thousandths of a second behind the Alpine of Tolas. Wardy goes on to the front row. Wardy had a little bit of a difficult race last week. He picked up front wing damage in the final few laps and also picked himself a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which he could. He did get removed afterwards, so instead of finishing P10 he finished P5, so limiting the damage done in the championship. Definitely one of the drivers to look out for, as he is always a contender. At least 5 drivers without a lap time, but it's about to be 4 because Sketchy Grip is making his way through the final corner, and his first lap time on the board will be a 1:31.7, which is in P5 for now. So Boren unfortunately had to miss this race, and Kieran is the one replacing him tonight. So that leaves just 4, and one of those 4 is 2-time tier 3 world champion. Jesus, I think I've said it a million times already every stream, but that doesn't deny the fact that he is the reigning world champion and he is on his outlap. And I've also said many times that qualifying isn't his strongest part, and but he always makes up for it in the race. And a good example is that is last week. He was at the back of the field, P17, and I think he finished P4 in the end after some penalties. And he was right there in the leading group, and he is preparing to go for a lap time as he... oh, the hash there of... Was it Kai? It was Kai. Ghosting through, I think. Also invalidating, and he will start his lap time first. Just ahead of the Mercedes. Alpha Wall and Mr. L both on that lap as well, but they're still in Sector 2. So, let's take a look at Kai, who took a surprising pole position last week in Las Vegas. Hasn't been near the front of the field all season long. Unfortunately, he did get damage in the final corner around halfway into the race. And he also picked up a 3-second time penalty, which limited his chances of finishing in a competitive position. In the end, he had to settle for a 7th place. But he was on pole position, and that was a big shock at the time. Let's see if he can replicate that. It's not going to be an easy task, because I know that both the Kick Saubers have set some very, very quick lap times in practice. As Kai is definitely not on an outlap, I think. Not sure why why it says that in the bottom left. Or he might be, I'm not sure. Jesus certainly isn't. He sets a 101.9 in the male sector. Not quite sure how that compares to the rest of the field, but I think I've seen low 101s for in this qualifying session. But just look how close it is between Sketchy Grip in P5 and Critical Skills in P10. There's just exactly 1/10 of a second separating 6 positions. As Kai, he's gone up to P3. Jesus could only manage 14th right now. Mr. L and R5 Wall, the last 2 remaining drivers to set a lap time, are on an attempt. So Sapphire, it's currently a VSEC RB sandwich. But for how much longer? Sapphire though, still the man on provisional pole position after the first few runs. But he's got the 2 house drivers for company. And I think Soul Demon is on the lap as well. In the Kick Sauber he is, and he's improving by 1,000th of a second. That is definitely not going to make the cut for him, as he will go from P10 to P10 if he finishes his lap like that. But I'm sure he can find some time elsewhere. As Alpha Hype Wall at the bottom of the field right now makes his way out of the final corner. He crosses the line and he goes into P13 with a 131.9. But what about this man, Mr. L? Across the line he will go. And he slots into 16th place, just ahead of his teammate Leonardo, who made his debut last week in Las Vegas. Tolu, in the meantime, is improved and he's gone up to P3. As Jumpy Painter has invalidated, unfortunately. Soul Demon is on a good tap though. He's up by around 0.3 of a second. But he needs to find a little bit more in order to beat Sapphire's time. And he's unable to do so, but someone who is able to do so is Lennon's. Out of nowhere, 31.2. Goes to the top by less than half a tenth ahead of Sapphire as Kieran improves to 3rd. The Red Bull driver suddenly on top. Entire field right now within 2 seconds. Spartavo, I think he just improved, not by much though, he's in 8th. He drove in tier 1 yesterday, finished in 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't slow at all, to be honest. His pace is quite good as well, but the entire top 10 within half a second. Jumpy Painter, not sure if he's on a push lap. No, he's definitely not. He's got an invalidation as well. "6 minutes to go. And Bob in the other McLaren, he is on the lap. Currently sat in P14, just under a second of the provisional pole time. As he navigates his way through the second sector onto the back straight. DRS open. And now down into the braking zone of turn 12, where you can really cut the inside curb. But you have to be careful, not cutting it too much, and he plays it safe. Now into turn 13 and 14, he's up by 1.5 tenths. And this can be a very tricky acceleration zone. Now into turn 15, a very, very late apex. Can very easily lock the inside of your front left. And now this should be flat out. Turn 16, 17 and 18. And then a quick flick to the left. Keeps it nice and tidy. Through the final corner he goes. A little bit wide, I think. He crosses the line, improves his time. And only one position to P13. And the man just ahead of him, Critical Skills, is attempting to improve. But he's all out of shape. Look how he's fighting the car through the final sector. On throttle, he was slightly down on his time by a few hundreds. Can he turn that around in the final sector? If he improves by a tenth, he will already gain a position, because it is so close, just in front of him. He is going to continue on, so he should have found some time. He crosses the line and just jump up to P9. 3 thousandths behind Sol Demon. The kick hours P8 and P11. So far, quite a disappointing result in qualifying, and are usually the strongest in qualifying. So is that a worrying sight for our Constructors' Championship leaders? Or is there more to come in the remaining 3.5 minutes? 1 billion power in Rise of Kingdoms. Ah, fantastisch. That's the key to succeeding in life. Leonardo is the only one out there on a push lap. And he is certainly improving through sector 1. 4 tenths. That is a big improvement. But he needs to, because the two Ferraris are down in 16th and 17th. And Ferrari, they're also bottom of the championship in Tier 3 by far. Their next closest competitor is Visa Cash App, and they're 16 points clear. The only two Italian teams on the grid. He's lost time through sector 2 quite a bit actually. 2 tenths. So he needs to find a magical final sector in order to improve, because he is half a second behind his teammate. That looks clean through the final sector. Does he gain the time he needs to gain? He does improve, but on his position. And he stays in 17th, and that is a one-way to enter qualifying. But it's not exactly how you should do it. I am quite certain that that is not allowed. But that is something for later on. His teammate, Mr. L, he is also on the lap, and I think Tuch Terry is also trying to improve in the Red Bull. Yes, he's just started his lap, but he's gone wide. A massive moment is the Aston Martin ahead of him. I don't think he's blocked him. Might have just a little bit distracted Tuch Terry there. One minute remaining in this qualifying session. Everyone is out there on track to try and improve. And Mr. L will be the first one to finish his final flying lap. He goes from P16 stays in 16th, unfortunately. Not the qualifying he would have hoped for, but it's all to play for in the race. And has to Sterry found an improvement. I think he might have backed off. He certainly has, so he won't be improving on this lap, but he could potentially try another lap. Not sure how much time there's left in this session, as the caution sign is blocking the timer right now. 20 seconds, I think he should be able to make that. He is the Rebel just ahead of the Alpine of Mahmoudov, and I think Mahmoudov will be the first one to catch the flag. And, well, Kai, he is certainly not making it to the line, that is for sure. He's on an outlap, but he is finished, and Critical Skills did not make it either. As Mahmoudov improves up to 17th. Then it's Wanda Saubers. Is it Soul Demon? And Soul Demon is only 8th. Kai will stay in 6th position. What about Jumpy Painter? He goes fastest. There we go. A 30.911. And he gets ahead of Lennon's by just under 3/10 of a second. Sapphire misses out by 2.5 tenths. But he is on the front row right now. As I think we look at Wardy now, and Wardy has invalidated our championship leader, will not start any higher than 5th on the grid. And the man behind him right now, Tolu, his championship rival, is on improvement by 2/10 of a second. Across the line he goes, and Tolu goes ahead. And he is on the 2nd row right now. Is anything there Lennon's can do? It doesn't seem to be. He's 1.5 tenths down on his time. And it looks like he might have to settle for 4th place. As Twitch Terry is getting held up in the final sector. And he won't improve either. And it's all left to Bob then. And he goes into P13, or is Shark still on the lap? I think he might be. He will be the final one to cross the line. Yes, the Martin driver, 2.222 seconds behind Jumpy Painter across the line. He stays only 19th and bottom of the field. But that concludes this qualifying session then. And unsurprisingly, Jumpy Painter does take pole position. And he's the only one to be in the 130s. 2/10 clear of the rest of the field. Sketchy grip in the end. Totally missed that, but he went on to the front row. So well done to him. That might be his best qualifying result of the season so far. Sapphire with another strong result in qualifying. And in contention for a podium or the race win, and he will be lining up alongside Lennon's on the 2nd row of the field. Total in P5, just ahead of Kieran. The 2 Haskars down in 7 and 8. Twitch Terry in 9. And Soul Demon rounds out the top 10, 6/10 behind his teammate. Parzival only 11th. That's not ideal from him either. Critical Skills in 12th. Ahead of Bob, returning in P13. Al5 Ball 14. Jesus, Mr. L, Mahmoudov, Leonardo. And Shark down in 19th position. And that is how this qualifying ends. And we will prepare ourselves for the main event. A race which is 29 laps long. Let me check real quick. 28, very close, just 1 lap off. Yeah, 28 laps ahead of us, and the skies are blue. So it won't be the weather affecting this race. That is for sure. Strategy-wise, we will be looking at medium hard, hard medium, as Mahmoudov has left, so I'll invite him back and hope he joins. But unfortunately, he will have to join after the race start. But speaking of the strategy, medium hards or hard to medium, You never know which one is going to work, because if a safety comes out in the early stages, then the ones who started on mediums will profit, as they could bit early, go into the hards and go to the end. But if it's not a safety car, then hard medium might be the better strategy. So I think either strategy could work. Just never know what can happen during the race. In a few moments' time, we will get round 7 of the season on the way. Second in Tier 2, Jumpy Painter at 30.9. It's not a bad lap at all. He said to me before the race that he managed a 30.5 in practice, which is my Tier 1 time in qualifying, and I was 5th on the grid, so I'm glad he wasn't able to do that, because that would have been insane. No, it's not about where you qualify though, it's where you finish. And truth is, Jumpy Painter is only 5th in the championship, 21 points off Wardy. But he has a chance of making inroads on the Haas, because Wardy is down in 7th. Looking to start on the hards as well. So different strategies. The Sours seems to be starting on the mediums. So is Sketchy Grip. It's quite mixed actually. It's very balanced between the grid. I'd love to get Shelby back in there. Don't think he would dominate. Rain with 1 lap to go is what I'm reading in the chat right now. So that could be very interesting, but I think we might just miss out on that. Few more drivers now opting for the hard compound tire. But it's time to go for the United States Grand Prix. Round 7 of F1 Broke Boys Tier 3 Season 12. The 5 red lights are on. Jumpy Painter on the left, Sketchy Grip on the right. And the lights are out, and Jumpy Painter trying to cut across Sketchy Grip, but the Williams, I think, is still on the inside. No, he's not. So Jumpy Painter maintains the lead going into turn 1, ahead of the Williams. Then Sapphire trying to go the long way around the outside, unable to do so. The other Williams of Kieran going a little bit wide through turn 1 as we go 2-3 wide in the background. Soul Demon all the way with 2 places gained as he's up into P8. And he's got ahead of Wardy, who drops down 2 places, down to 9th he went. As we see a bit of wheel-to-wheel action, and Parzival, I think he just went off track as Wardy and Soul Demon go wheel-to-wheel, bit of contact between the two. And Wardy is back ahead of the kick Sauber, but Soul Demon trying to go for the switchback now. As he makes his way down to turn 11. Is he going to send it up the inside, or is he going to stay behind for now? As it's Touche Terry up the inside of Critical Skills, but he's unable to make the pass. And he has to settle for 11th place, but at the front end, Jumpy Painter has maintained the lead of this race ahead of Sketchy Grip, and Tolu has got ahead of Sapphire. So Tolu in the Alpine now into P3. That's a bit of fighting in the background. Mahmudev once again has left the session, so I'll try to invite him back, and hopefully he can take control over his car as Parzival and Touche Terry going wheel to wheel, the Red Bull versus the McLaren. Touche Terry up the inside, and he's in front still of the McLaren. Parzival trying to find a way past, but he's unable to do so at this stage, at the end of the opening lap. The top 2 have remained unchanged as we go on to the second lap. Jumpy Painter with the fastest lap, unsurprisingly, but Sketchy Grip quite close behind. Soul Demon and Wardy going at it once again. And this time the Kick Sauber does get ahead of the Haas, as we will take a look at the tire strategy. So the entire top 3 is on the mediums. So that explains how Tolu probably got ahead of Sapphire, as he lands. Kai and Kieran, they're all on the hards. Soul Demon on mediums, Wardy on hards, and Critical Skills in P10, he's on the mediums as well. $11 hearts, 8 on mediums. As we see Critical Skills trying to go the long way around the outside of Wardy, but that is not going to work out. But he does have the better exit, and he's going to try and pull alongside the Haas to go for the lead. A Sketchy Grip and Tolu as well, so they go almost 3 wide into the braking zone of turn 11. Sketchy Grip has got ahead, so has Tolu, and Jumpy Painter has dropped down to P3, lost 2 positions due to the DRS. And Sapphire's able to hold on to those guys, as Wardy is dropped behind Critical Skills. He's now got the McLarens and Twisteri for company. Twisteri trying to find a way past Wardy. He's already dropped out of DRS range of the cars in front, as S12 does get ahead of the Ripple finally. But this could be a crucial moment in this race, because Wardy in P10 is 1.4 behind the leading group of the top 9. And if he doesn't get back into DRS range, it could become very problematic later on in the race. Soul Demon has gone up the inside of Kieran. He is now up into 7th place. As we go wheel to wheel, side by side in the background, Bartsville, Twisteri, Jesus has got ahead of Bob. Mercedes driver also on the medium compound. As Twisteri runs a little bit wide, but able to maintain position. Sapphire very close to the back of Jumpy Painter. So Mahmoudov has rejoined. Unfortunately for him, he's still within DRS range of the 2 cars in front of him. Sketchy Grip in the lead, but for how much longer? Because Tolu is going to get ahead. And Tolu, our 3rd different race leader. As that is Jumpy Painter on the inside, and contact, and he spins around. Tolu, Jumpy Painter way too late on the brakes. And he sends the Alpine round and down to P8. And you could have seen that coming from a distance. And once again, the Kick Sauber driver finds himself involved in an incident, as Kieran has picked up a 3-second time penalty for track limits on lap 3 already. Jumpy Painter now in the lead of this race. But I wonder what the stewards have to say about that afterwards. We go on to lap 4, Sketchy Grip. Still close behind, because you can't take too many risks trying to overtake the Sauber. Seeing what just happened to the Alpine. Lennon's in the meantime, he's got ahead of Sapphire. So he's in P3 now. Soul Demon also making good progress from P10 to P6 in just 3 laps time. As Tolu will need to get back into a rhythm. Try and recharge to the front. As Twisteri now also picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's very early on in the race. Sketchy Grip is going to go for the race lead. Was alongside the Sauber, and Sketchy Grip is to the apex first. And the Williams is now back into the lead. But just look at the train forming behind him. All the way down to P9. And then Spartov on 10. Wardy's dropped down to 12. Really seems to be struggling in the opening phase of this race. Struggling with traction as well. Coming out of turn 15. Could become a very long race for the Haas driver. He's already under pressure from Jesus as well. The Mercedes is going to attempt to pass on the inside of turn 1 and very easily gets ahead. But Wardy with the switchback is alongside as they go wheel to wheel. as Mahmudov has retired from the session. Not intentionally, I think, as he had some connection issues. But unfortunately, our first retirement of the day on the Alpine is out of the US Grand Prix. And he's rejoined, but it's too late, unfortunately, because his AI is already retired from the race. Jumpy Painter re-overtakes Sketchy Grip on lap 5. He's going to get ahead, and Lennons is also potentially going to go to the inside of the Williams. He's on the hards, and the mediums are just having the edge over the hards in this stage of the race. As Sapphire's having a look to potentially find a way past, and they're holding each other up here, which could potentially help the likes of Switch Terry, Parzival, and everyone behind him to close the gap. So currently 1.5 seconds. But make that 1.3 as we go into lap 6. Still one big train, and Kai is going to have to defend. He's unable to do so. He's got Soldim up the inside. He brakes very, very late into turn 1 and is able to go long around the outside and stay in 5th place. So Soul Demon going for the attack, but unable to complete it. As Jumpy Painter building a little bit of a gap to Sketchy Grip, 0.8 of a second, but that's not going to be enough to get the rest of the field behind him outside of the DRS range. And Torch Terry is now finally back within DRS range, which helps Parzival, Jesus, Wardy, and Bob and R5 Wall. Parzival is going to get ahead of the Red Bull driver, and he's back into the top 10. So the entire top 15 is now within DRS range. Still a long way to go though. It's all about the tires. When it's going to be the turning point. When will the hard get the advantage over the medium? Kai is having a go at Sapphire, but has to back off. Sapphire a little bit deep into turn 1. Stays in front of the Haas for now. Oh, and critical skills. He's dropped out of DRS range. He's already struggling with the tires on lap 7. And Parzival gets very close to the back of the Aston Martin. And no DRS for critical skills, and here comes Parzival, and he's going to breeze past the Aston Martin as he is now up to P9 and will have to get back into DRS range of the top 8. Sketchy Grip has retaken the lead of this race, as it's very, very close between the top 5. You don't want to fight too much at this stage. We go on to lap 8. Sketchy Grip and Jumpy Painter still in the lead on mediums. So look how close the Sauer is to the back of the Williams through turn 1. As we see Toon Sterry running a very wide, and as he rejoins, hits the side of Wardy, who is very lucky to not completely lose control over his Haas or get damage to his front wing. Don't think he's got either of that. But it certainly was a sketchy moment there as the Red Bull rejoined quite unsafely. Oh, and they're all fighting it out. It's almost 3 wide up ahead. There's yellow flags in the background. I think Leonardo has gone off. But Sapphire's a P3. There's more contact as Tolu is in P7 as they go wheel to wheel into turn 12, side by side. 3-4 cars there fighting for the same piece of track. Lennons is in P3 ahead of Sapphire. Soul Demon is going wheel to wheel now with Kai. As he will be on the inside. And he is going to get ahead. A safety car has been deployed. Safety car is out. As Leonardo has retired from the session on track. Down in P18 in turn 11. And this is very good news for the medium runners. As they can certainly make it to the end on a hard set of hard set of tires. Sorry. So everyone who started on mediums will of course pull into the pit lane, put on a set of hards and make it to the end, which basically gives them a pit stop advantage over the likes of Lennon, Sapphire, Kai, Kieran, Parzival, Wardy and R5 Wall, who've all started on the hards. Top 7 has stayed out. Oh, what's going on here? That's very, very slow and drive-through penalty for Alpha Hype Wall for ignoring yellow flags. But this wasn't just me, it was a safety car driving very, very slowly there. They were almost to a complete standstill there, and not sure what happened there. Wardy is down to P8, and Alpha Hype Wall with a drive-through penalty. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Very strange moment as the safety car got deployed. Did he crash? Do you mean Leonardo? I'm not sure, I didn't see it. I can check if he... Yeah, terminal damage, so... did have an accident then. But I think he was on his own for a bit, so I'm not sure what happened there. But either way, we've got a safety car, first safety car of the day, to neutralize this race. So the top 7 have stayed out on hards, and the rest of the field is on a brand new set of hards, except for Mr. L. He's still in the mix there in P10. And both Swoosh and Shark, who started on hards, have pitted for a brand new set of mediums. So that's a guaranteed 2 stop for the Red Bull and the Aston Martin. This is not good. Did I get kicked? It looks like I did get it. Oh, this is so annoying. I mean, it's a good thing it's happened under a safety car, but come on. It's definitely not the race result, by the way. And we're getting sent back straight to the main menu. Is that just amazing? And thank you all for the invite. All of you. And that is not helping at all. Yeah, now's the perfect time to communicate with online services. Take your time. Hopefully it takes like 5 minutes. Do we need a new invite though? Yeah. Oh my goodness me. What is this? What is this game? Seriously. Yeah, certified F1 24 moment. Unbelievable. Thank you. Can you set me to the lobby, finally? Hopefully. Joining session. Come on. There we go. Okay. Alpha was the lobby host. Hopefully that's not going to mess up anything for anyone's race. It shouldn't be too... shouldn't be a problem, I think. Yeah, I can't wait for F1 25 either. But I'm just hoping that they are going to fix this. And we join back at the perfect time here. Because we're at the safety car restart. Anyway, Lennons leads the field. Ahead of Sapphire. We're back on lap 10 onto 11. It's a Red Bull out in front. Ahead of an RB, a Haas, a Williams, and a McLaren. 5 different teams inside the top 5. But they have to pit still in this race. So sketchy grip. He wants to get past these guys as soon as possible. He has the tire advantage. As we already see a move happening. Jesus gets past Soul Demon. So Jesus, he's up at the P11. But virtually he's really in P4 right now. Where did he start again? I never can find it. He started out in P15. And he's running in a virtual P4. Yeah, that's exactly what I talked about earlier. He's not the greatest in qualifying, but he always finds a way to come back in the race. And he is doing that right now as well, but he's got Soul Demon for company, and Sauber up the inside, bit of contact, wheel banging between the two. But Jesus is able to stay ahead for now though. Kieran having half a look. Tolu is getting past Mr. L, who's still on those old hard compound tires. Wardy and Parzival are going wheel to wheel. Wardy with the possible switchback maybe, but he will be on the outside line, which is not the line you want to be. Parzival defending the inside line. So there's a bit of contact between them. Sketchy grip and Jumpy Painter getting held up by these guys. Mr. L dropping down to 11th now as Critical Skills fighting with Twitch Terry and Jesus. What's happened to Jesus? He's down to P13. That is commentator's curse there. He's just talking how good he was doing, and now he's back down to P13. He was fighting with Soul Demon a moment ago. And he's down to P40 now as he gets overtaken by Twitch Terry, who has the tire advantage on the mediums. As Critical Skills will go along around the outside. Sketchy grip is going to get ahead of Wardy. Yes, he is. And Jumpy Painter will want to get past as soon as possible as well. But it's very difficult to overtake in Sector 1. Not if you're Kieran apparently, because he just got past Kai. Kai is nearly pushing him through the corner. And down into the braking zone, there's contact, and spins round goes Parzival and Sketchy Grip as well, getting caught up in that. I'm not sure who hit who there, but multiple cars getting spun around. Jumpy Painters in P5 now as we see Soul Demon trying to find a way past Vardy, who's defending very aggressively. Up the inside he goes! Oh, and he just got ahead, and that's total with a 10-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Well, that's just lovely, isn't it? But you should be able to get that removed if there's no further safety car in this race. If there is, and he has to serve it in a pit lane, that's absolutely going to ruin his chances of this race. But let's hope that it's not the case, then and he could be able to get that removed. The Sapphire in the lead has picked up a 3-second time penalty as we near the halfway point of this race. Jumpy Painter now our new virtual race leader, just ahead of Tolo and Soul Demon, who's making some good progress with that. But I'm not quite sure who hit Wardy or who hit Parzival. And Sketchy Grip there. Sketchy Grip down to P8 as we go wheel to wheel once again. Wardy dropping down to P10. Now finds himself wheel to wheel with Critical Skills, who's going to attempt to go up the inside of the SS. As the other Haas picks up a penalty as well. Critical Skills does get ahead. And Wardy drops down to P11. His race going from bad to worse. And that's the last thing he needs. in the championship fight. Oh, there's more contact up ahead. Who's that who got spun around? It's Kieran in the Williams. I just saw it on the top of my screen. I'll have to look it back, but I think they went 2-3 wide into the hairpin. And another Williams getting spun around in turn 11 as Jumpy Painters attempt to go for an audacious move up the inside. So does Soul Demon, and Tolu's in a sandwich. We go 3 wide with Jumpy Painter picking up penalty still. They're fighting it out as Tolu now is defend of both of the kick sours, and he does so successfully. Tolu now finds himself in the virtual race lead, but he has got that 10-second penalty above his head. Soul Demon now in the virtual second place without a penalty. Soul Demon from 10th on the grid. He is now fighting for the race win. He's got the best seat in the house right now as he's looking at the back of the Alpine. He's getting sent up the inside in the final corner. Not really a place to overtake, but he does so regardless. Soul Demon up to P4. And is now the lead of this train, who have pitted already in this race. Tolu having a go around the outside. That's not going to work out. Now Kai is the one directly in front of Soul Demon. That's a bit of a gap towards Sapphire and Lennon's 1.8. As we're now at the halfway point of this race. Oh, and now Soul Demon picks up a penalty as well. Every time I say I just completely jinx these drives. He's going to go the long way around the outside. Surely not. What a beautiful move as he gets past Kai. Wow. Round the outside he goes in the SS. And he's now up to P3. Here comes Tolu as well for the double overtake. Tolu round the outside. Jumping Painter trying to have a go up the inside. There's a ripple of Twitch there as they go wheel to wheel. They're 2 wide there into the braking. So Tolu is ahead. But they're losing so much time to Lennons and Sapphire, who are now swapping positions as well. Sapphire back into the lead. Is Soul Demon going to have a go up the inside? No, not this time. Oh, and he's got the sour on his outside. A ripple up his inside. And Jumpy Painter nearly going right into the back of his teammate. But he is going to get past towards Stereo, is he? As we go wheel to wheel now into turn 15. The ripple is on the apex first, and he gets ahead of Jumpy Painter. He is on the mediums though. But remember, he was like in P16, wasn't it? At the safety car restart. Finds himself in P5. Brilliant. Racing so far from Twitch Terry. But he does have to pit again. Certainly in this race. We're on lap 15 now. Yellow flags are out. And once again, Kieran, has he just hit the pit wall? I think he has. A 10 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And yeah, that is to be expected. The Williams drivers out of the US Grand Prix. Got spun around earlier on. And now he got damaged as well. So very, very unfortunate indeed. Looks like they finally stopped fighting. And they're closing the gap towards the top 2. That's good to see. Two Sterry in between the 2 Saubers. Hardly what a dangerous place you could be in this race. And here comes Lennons again as he gets past Sapphire. He's been on his hards for 14 laps. And Bob has got ahead of Mr. L, who's also been on the hards since the beginning of this race. And in P15 right now. "13 laps to go." There will be a few more laps before the hard runners will have to pull into the pit lane. In fact, Partsville already going in as Sapphire is going to go up the inside into turn 1 wheel to wheel. Himself and Lennons, a bit of contact between the 2, and Tolu is going to profit from that. He's going to go the long way around the outside, and he got ahead. So does Soul Demon. Lennons drops down to P4. Sapphire remains in the lead of this race though. But Tolu very close to the back of the RB. But he's going to have to wait a little bit to find a way past on the back straight. Should be his earliest opportunity as Jumpy Painter is going wheel to wheel with towards Terry around the outside in the SS as well. Sauber seems to love that move. And he's going to get ahead of towards Terry finally. Or is he? Towards Terry late on the brakes. Wheel to wheel we go. A bit of contact on the exit. But they keep it pointing in the right direction. As Tolu is going to go for the race lead. Sapphire is going to drop behind both Tolu and Soul Demon now as well. It's gone up to second place. Lennon's in P4 as Jumpy Painter still trying to find a way past Twitch Terry, but he's so far unable to do so. What's interesting to see is that every driver with a penalty is inside the top 10. And almost all of them have a penalty. As what is going on here? So go Will to a sketchy grip and Kai. And Jumpy Painter still trying to find a wide pass. Oh, bit of contact, almost losing control over his Sauber. Twitch Terry still staying ahead. And is he going to get past Lennons? Yes, because Lennons is going to pull into the pit lane on lap 16 to put on a fresh set of mediums. But he will be dropping all the way back to the back of the field, and so does Wardy when he pits, because his teammate currently is into the pit lane, and that is Twitch Terry on the brake. No, bit of a desync moment there. I thought he just went off into turn 1, but he didn't. Keeping his car on track right now. "11 laps to go after this one. Tolu now in the lead, ahead of Soul Demon. Then it's Sapphire, who is still yet to pit. And then it's Twitch Terry, he also needs to pit in this race. He's been on these mediums for 8 laps. So he should be coming to the pit lane as well in the next few laps. So there's no way he can make it to the end on these mediums. Already dropping a second behind Sapphire. And his Jumpy Painter finally going to get ahead of the Red Bull. Up the inside he goes, and there he goes. He's got ahead of Twitch Terry, who can't do anything to re-overtake. Jesus, he's once again in a not brilliant position, with all these cars ahead of him having penalties, and so is Sketchy Grip. Even though he got spun around earlier on, he is still very much in the fight for the win, because all the cars ahead of him have got a penalty. As Sapphire pulling to the pit lane, and so is Wardy. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. L is going to come in the pit lane soon as well. The last one who started on the hard compound tire. Twitch Terry once again having a go at Jumpy Painter. To Sauber ahead of the Red Bull. But look at the gap between the two Saubers. 2.2 seconds. Tolu and Soul Demon in a league of their own. Has this now turned into a 2-horse fight for the win? And Soul Demon is going to pull alongside, and he's going to take the lead of this race on lap 18. Behind Twitch Terry is going to get ahead of Jumpy Painter once again. These two just can't stop swapping around, and the gap is growing to the top two, 2.5 seconds. Oh, and he's got past again on the exit of 15. Jumpy Painter re-overtaking the Red Bull. And Twitch Terry is going to pull into the pit lane at the end of lap 18. 10 laps to go. And he will go into a new set of mediums. But that will definitely drop him outside the top 10. So clean air now for Jumpy Painter, but the gap is almost 3 seconds now to Tolu ahead. So the top 7 on the hards and everyone else behind on medium. So now Twitch Terry's gone onto a new set of hards actually. Wheel to wheel. Kai and Sapphire ghosting through each other. Must have been some sort of contact. And it's Alpha Paul who is holding up his train. He's been on these mediums for 9 laps. As Tolu and Soul Demon swapping positions once again. Lens would want to get past as soon as possible. He's essentially fighting for P8 in this race. As Kai is getting boxed in there. He hit the back of Alvi Wall as they both pass him from either side. Lens on the inside, Kai on the outside. Contact between himself and Sapphire as the RB hits the Haas on the rear right. And Kai spinning around, although not completely, but he's dropped down to P13. Just out of his teammate who is now fighting it out with George Terry for P14. That's gonna hurt in the championship, especially when Tolu, Soul Demon, Jumpy Painter are all inside the top 3, fighting for the win. Not a great day either for Parzival. He's P3 in the championship. As Alpha 1 Shark went to the pit lane, so that is cleared for the ones who still had to pit. Everyone should be able to make it to the end of the race on these tires. Top 7 on hards, and everyone else behind on newer tires. Joker Painter is closing the gap though. It's around 2.2 now. But he has to work together with Sketchy Grip. And I think he is going to do just that, as the Williams is going to get ahead and into a podium position. The gap is around 2.5 seconds. I do think that Tolu can get his penalty removed. So Tolu might be winning this race right now. But as we know, anything can happen. Oh, what has happened to Jumpy Painter? In turn 16, he's gone off. And he's down to P6. Did he make contact with anyone, or did he just lose it on his own? But that is far from great news for one of our championship contenders. And the one who started on pole position in this race. Once again, unable to make it work for the race win, as Tolu and Soul Demon are fighting it out. Soul Demon has got past the Alpine. And he's going to get ahead on the exit of turn 1. Got 8 laps to go. The gap towards Sketchy Grip is now 2 seconds, but Sketchy Grip is on his own. Because Critical Skills is not within DRS range. Critical Skills particularly having a great race in the Aston Martin. He does have a penalty though, but he is actually looking at a top 6 right now. As Tolu, interesting maneuvers there as he gets past Soul Demon. But Tolu back into the lead on lap 21 as Jesus. He goes on the inside of Critical Skills, and Jesus is in a great position himself as well. If he can get within 3 seconds of Soul Demon, then Jesus could be on the podium. From 15th on the grid. He was driver of the day last week. From 17 to P4. Potentially might be a driver of the day today as well. Seven laps to go. Is Soul Demon gonna attempt an overtake into turn 1? No, he's gonna stay behind for now. He knows that if he fights here, he's gonna lose too much time and potentially risk a chance of losing a podium. And Jumpy Painter seems pretty much out of contention. He's unable to close the gap. He's in a steady P6 right now. Sapphire, he is the quickest of the other group right now on the mediums. He's right behind Bob. The gap is only 6 seconds between himself and Jumpy Painter, so is there a chance that he could close that gap in the remaining 6 laps? It's gonna be a tough task, but he seems to have the pace right now. Soul Demon retakes the lead. So around 3 seconds now towards Sketchy Grip. He just keeps doing that, and he doesn't, because Tolu's back ahead. What happened then to Soul Demon? Did he run right into turn 12? Or did he let him through on purpose? Not quite sure, but it just lost him an entire second towards Sketch Grip and Jesus and Critical Skills. And right now, Soul Demon will finish behind both the Williams and the Mercedes. Six laps to go. Toto out in front. Soul Demon once again is going to have to stay behind into turn 1. But Sketchy Grip is slowly but surely closing the gap. Sapphire's got ahead of Bob, and so does Kai now. And then is Lennon's up the inside now into turn 1 to get ahead of the McLaren. But Sapphire, he's got 5.5 seconds to make up towards Jumpy Painter, both having a 3-second time penalty. I don't think the tires will last that long. And Jesus gets ahead of Sketchy Grip. They don't need to fight too much right now. They might lose a lot of time, but they are certainly fighting right now. And now the gap is almost 3 seconds towards Soul Demon. We've got 5 laps to go. And for Soul Demon, it's just hoping that Jesus Sketch Grip fighting for that final spot on the podium. And that the gap could grow to over 3 seconds. Wardy down in P11. But I think he will be able to finish in P9. Or if he overtakes Lennon's, he could be finishing in P8 at best. Sapphire's broken off into the distance. Driven up into the distance. So the gap is 4.1 to Jumpy Painter. He's getting a lot of time. But time is running out as well. Only a handful of laps remaining. Yellow flags are out and parts of all the spun. Parts of all is round in Sector 1. What has happened to the McLaren? That's his day. It's going to get even worse now. And in P13. Soul Demon and Tolu. 3 seconds. And Lennon's just going to get ahead of Kai around the outside. He goes into turn 12. Now Twitch Terry is going to have a go. He's got the tire advantage pretty much. He's on a fresher set of hards. Potentially trying to go up the inside. Oh, very close for contact. That could have ended badly there with the Haas spun around. But unfortunately didn't. Just enough space to avoid an incident. As Jumpy Painter losing a lot of time. He's down on P6. And Sapphire has gained a lot of time now. He's gained 1.5 seconds on the last lap. Oh, Sketchy Grip with a 3-second time penalty. And that is helping Soul Demon. And also Jesus, because it will reduce the pressure on his shoulders. And he can now focus on getting that second place. He might finish P1 on track and Jumpy Painter. Oh, he's got a 3-second time penalty as well, and that is going to drop him behind Sapphire and potentially behind the likes of Wardy and Lennon's. Oh, the penalties start coming in left, right, and center. With Twitch Terry now as well, and they go wheel to wheel once again. Kai and the Red Bull of Twitch Terry wheel to wheel. As is Kai going to get boxed in again? No, he's not. Both ways they go, just like in '98 at Spa. Lennon's down to P10 and they're still wheel to wheel into the braking zone. Kai and Twitch Terry. Shaman out up the inside for the next turn. Ooh, slightest bit of contact between the two. And is he gonna get ahead, or is Kai gonna send it up the inside? He is. Into turn 15. What a battle between these two. Kai goes way too deep though. And now Twitch there he gets ahead. Finally. And definitely. He's up at the P8. But that has cost him quite a lot of time towards Jumpy Painter. And pretty much reduced the chance of getting that position. As we go wheel to into the final corner now. With Lennons and Kai going for the switchback. Bit of contact as they go wheel to wheel on the start-finish train, but Lennons is able to stay in front of the Haas. We've got 3 laps to go. Toto in the lead. He's got 2 tenths to Soul Demon, still very close behind. Just needs to keep it within the white lines, because Jesus is there. Jesus is there to win. He's within 3 seconds of Soul Demon and Tolu. If Tolu picks up a 3-second time penalty, the win could go to Jesus from 15th on the grid. Here comes Soul Demon go. He's going to get ahead of the Alpine. And Sketchy Grip is going to get ahead of Jesus as well. So this will lose Jesus a bit of time. And that is reducing his chances of winning. But there's still 2 laps to go. As they're going to fight it out once again. Kai this time on the outside. And he's going to switch to the inside. Beautiful switchback. But now he's on the outside for the next turn. And Lennons is now up the inside. As they go wheel to wheel. But Kai on the outside has the better traction. And he's going to pull ahead of the Red Bull driver. As Wardy is right behind there. Sitting with a bucket of popcorn. As they watch these two fighting it out. The Red Bulls and the Hasses as Kai goes off. Going wide through the penultimate corner. And now Lennons is going to potentially try and go back past. And here comes Wardy with DRS. And ERS is going to get past both of them with a double overtake. All the main straight. And Wardy up at the 9th place. But he's got his teammate up the inside, not working together at all. Ooh, and Kai completely cutting the track. And that's going to lose him both positions. Down to 11th place. In the meantime, Sapphire's all over the back of Jumpy Painter. And Jumpy Painter's on the threat from losing position. Oh, and Sapphire now with a 3-second time penalty as well. This is good news for Wardy. I'm not quite sure what the gap is. He is within 6 seconds, so Wardy could get 6th place here. After all of that. If he gets on with it. Sketchy Grip has closed the gap down to 2 seconds now. And Sapphire has got ahead of Jumpy Painter. He's up to 6th position now. And Kai now with a 3-second time penalty. Sapphire will need to get a move on. He needs to create a 6-second gap towards Wardy in order to secure that 6th position. Currently the gap is 6.2. Is he going to be able to maintain that? As we go into the final lap of this race. Soul Demon is our race leader. But Jesus is within 3 seconds. And Tolu will most likely be able to get his 10-second time penalty removed. That is an assumption, but I don't think a 10-second penalty is justified in this game. For whatever it was, I think it was ignoring yellow flags. Probably someone went off. He got an illegal overtake for that and couldn't give it back. So, in theory, Tolu should win this race. Is Soul Demon going to be able to finish in 2nd place though? The gap towards Jesus is just around 3 seconds right now. And Tolu is going to get ahead into the lead on the final lap of this race. Jesus gets ahead of Sketchy Grip as well. He's now within 3 seconds of Soul Demon to snatch away 2nd place. He will finish P1 on track due to Tolu's 10-second time penalty. But that is a provisional result. On the final lap of this race, in the final sector. Tolu from 5th on the grid is gonna reach the finish flag first in a few moments time. 1 corner to go for the Alpine driver. And he's going to make massive inroads on Vardy as Toto crosses the line to win the United States Grand Prix. Crossing the line first, but due to his penalty, he's going to drop down. And Jesus will be first on track from 15th on the grid. Soul Demon in the end, unable to hold back the Mercedes. From 10th on the grid, finishes in 2nd place. And Sketchy Grip with the final spot on the podium due to Toto's penalty. Critical Skills with an amazing result in P4. Probably P5, and Wardy has got that 6th place by just under a tenth of a second. 6/100ths was the gap between himself and Sapphire in the end. Both just ahead of Jumpy Painter. The drive of the day, Jesus, and I will say that is very much deserved. As we take a look at the podium, not sure if he's going to keep that win after the stewards' reports, but it sure does feel nice because he will definitely be on the podium from so far back on the grid. And that is the end result then. Jesus out on top. Head of Soul Demon, Sketchy Grip, Critical Skills, Toto, Wardy, Sapphire, Jumper Painter, the 2 Rebels in 9th and 10th. Then Bob, Kai, Bartevon P13 with the fastest lap will not get an extra point for that. Alpha Wall, Mr. L, Shark, Kieran Leonardo and Mahmoudev were the 4 retirements in this race. I'll get the race director for if anyone needs it. If I'm gonna be able to scroll back down in time. Doesn't seem like it. Just not enough. Oh well. Should get them themselves if they want to remove a penalty. But that was quite a good race to watch, with plenty of battles. And also plenty to talk about after this one. That's round 7 of the championship wrapped up then. 5 races remaining in season 12. Next up in Monza, Italy for round 8 next week. Which is a track I certainly enjoy myself. And it's a good track known for good racing. With all those high speeds, plenty of DRS zones, plenty of overtaking opportunities. That is going to be a good race for sure. But that is something for next week. I want to thank everyone for tuning into the stream. That's it from me tonight. And I hope to see you again next week, with hopefully Jimmy alongside me again. That's it tonight. See you guys next time. Have a good evening and goodbye.